So today we are going to talk about how to create the objects like table and so on. Mostly today we are going to talk about tables only. Views and other topics we'll discuss later on. So today what we will do, we'll create tables. We'll try to understand the constraints. Very important concept, right? So all those things we will cover. Today's class will be a bit longer because I don't have any evening session. So don't play around with the annotate, else I will put you out of the class. All right. Anyone who did this blue line, don't play with that. All right. Now, today we'll start with the tables, and there are some naming rules as well, right? In how we can give the table names and so on. So we'll discuss the naming rules. We'll talk about that. To comment in any SQL programming, right? This double minus sign is helping me to do the comment, right? I can do comment by like this, or let me remove this. I can do like slash star star slash. So anything which you will write in between will be act as a comment, right? So that when you are running the entire code, this part will not execute because it's a comment. Okay. So either you can give the comment line by line by using this minus sign 2 times. So every line you have to put that there, every line, okay? Or you can suppose I have a multi-line comment. In that case, I will go with a slash star and star slash, right? So in between anything we will put will be a comment. So the naming rules, the first naming rule is must begin with the letter or character, or I can say alphabet. Second is the maximum length of the name of the table or any object will be 30, not more than 30 characters, right? So must be between 1 to 30 characters. After that, the name must contain only capital A to capital Z, small a to small z, 0 to 9, underscore, dollar, and hash. Okay, so in my object name I can have these characters I can use for naming purpose. Then suppose, if you guys remember, I told you about the HR schema, right? So HR is one user actually. Okay, consider that I'm creating a folder HR. Consider that it's a user, HR user. Now in HR user I have a table. So I cannot have duplicate table, or I can say duplicate name of another object, right? Duplicate name of another object. Suppose I'm creating a table employee, and in the same schema if I will try to create the table employee again, it's not possible. It's already there, the table name is already there. So I cannot have duplicate name of another object owned by the same user. Now what is user? Let's say I told you schema HR, right? So HR schema is one user. So if in HR I'm creating a table called employee, I cannot create one more table name as employee, or any other object I cannot create with the same name. But suppose I have HR schema, I have finance schema. So in HR schema I am creating an employee table. I can able to create the employee table in the finance schema as well, because it's altogether a different schema. Okay, so if we have the uh, same schema, I cannot have duplicate objects. And finally we'll have I cannot use the keywords, right? If you guys remember in uh, Python also we had a discussion about the keywords if, else, for, yield, and a lot of keywords were there. Same way here also we will have some keywords like select, where, all those different keywords which we have. I cannot use those keywords as a table name, which makes sense, right? These are like Oracle reserved keywords, or I can say Oracle reserved keywords cannot be the object name. Okay, so these are the naming conventions which we have. Object is like view, table, and all those things. So don't confuse this object with the object of Python. It's altogether different thing. Okay, so that you have to understand. Don't confuse with that. When you are learning Python, then think about Python. When you are learning SQL, then think about SQL only. It's altogether a new concepts which we are discussing. Now, let's say I want to create a table. Okay, so when I want to create a table, I have to put the data types, right? Each column should have its own data types. So there are different types of data types which we have in Python. Same way we saw in the, sorry, in Oracle, same way we saw in the Python as well. So the data types which we have is, first is var and I have to give the size. Now what is a var? It's a variable length character. And there is one more called char, which is also size, also known as fixed length character. Now what is the difference between this and that, right? We have to understand. Give me a minute. Let me open my board. All right. So now let's say I'm creating a table with name as a column. Now here I'm giving the data type as var char 10. Okay. And I'm creating another table with name, and again here I'm giving the data type as char 10. Now what is the difference? For example, let's say I'm adding a name as Milind. Now how many characters we have? 6. Now when I'm saving that in this table, what will happen? It will take only 6 characters. Variable length, right? Variable length. So it will take 6 characters. So the 4 characters which are left, it will not consume the space. Okay. So when I'm going with a varchar, I'm actually saving a lot of space. For example, obviously I cannot have the customer name with all the same characters. So it should be variable. So whenever I am having a smaller name, then a less number of characters in the name, then obviously I'm saving some space. However, when I'm going with char s10, what will happen? It's a fixed length. So if I'm saving it as Milind, what will happen? 6 characters we have. Then after that, Oracle will append 4 spaces with the name. So it will always consume 10 characters. That means it will always gonna take space. Whether the character is less or more, it will take the entire space. So normally when we create the tables, we prefer to go with variable characters rather than this. This type of data type we normally use when we want to set something like a flag. When I'm creating a flag, yes or no, right? In that case, I can go with char one. Perfect, no issues. So that type of column, when we are creating the flag type of column, we prefer to go with char type of data type. And or let's say I know that in my column I can have only three character data only. For example, country code, IND, PAK, NZ, or something, right? Three characters. So in that case, I can go with char as well, because I know that in my data set it will get in only 3 characters only. So I can go with char 3. So that type of columns we prefer to go with these data types. Now let's come back to Oracle, and now you can see that here we have 2 types of data types. After that, we have number, right, which is again a variable length numeric data. Where I can pass the size here, right, P. Then we have date, where I can save my date and time. Then we have long. Long is like a variable length character again. Okay, I can say the bigger version of varchar is my long. It's a variable length character data, which takes up to 2 GB. It's a huge amount, right? So in this particular column, I can save up to 2 GB of data in that type of data type. Then we have clob, which is also a character data. Okay, and this takes up to 4 GB. So a bigger version of long is clob. Then we have raw and long raw, which is saving the binary data. So there is a data called raw and long raw, which takes care of raw binary data. But we normally don't use this, so I'm not talking much about it. And the last is blob, which is a binary data. Now here I obviously will not use this, but I just want to help you understand, because this is I think it's good to understand, good to have the understanding of it. It takes up to 4 GB of data. Binary data means, suppose I want to save one video, right? 4 GB is like 4 movies approximately. So I can save the videos, I can save the images, those type of data I can very well save in this column. So suppose I'm creating an Oracle table, I want to save in one column movie, I can able to do that. It's a binary data. Okay, so we normally do this type of storage. But we, again, for data science point of view, we are going to deal everything with Python and all those things. It is just for us to store the structured data, which is more into the characters and the numbers. So that is what we are going to talk about here. So these are the main data types which we have in Oracle. I can save the numerical data into integer also. We can directly write the number, or we can put in int. We can put float. All those things also we can do, which is like a sub part. But number is the main which we should aware of. But once we'll create the table, I may not use number. I may go with integer. So as such, there will not be any difference. Now, when we are creating a table, there are a lot of constraints which we have to follow, right? That is what the main topic which I want to discuss today as well. But before that, I will show you one table which I'm creating. There is a concept of default option. There is a concept of default option. Now, what is this default option? For example, let's say I am creating a table name as hire dates, and in this table I have few columns. Let's say my first column is ID. Let's say employee ID. I am passing that is a number. Then I am passing hire date. Okay, and let's give the date as my data type, right? So when we are creating a table, we have to give the column name and the data type. Column name and the data type must. After that, I will write default sys date. Now sys date is nothing but system date. What is my system date? My system date is 30th June. So when I am not passing any value in the hire date, then by default Oracle will put the system date. So let's try to see. So let me execute this. You see that the table is created. Now when I see here, now I am passing this colon. This is also one more important thing. So let's say I'm running select, or first of all, let's insert the record. Insert into, what is my table name? Hire dates values. Let's say my ID is 1 and the hire date is, let's see what Oracle takes as a default. So 131220202019. Let's see whether Oracle is able to accept this or not. Let's execute this. You see, not a valid month. That means Oracle is not able to capture. So we have a separate discussion on the date column as well. As of now, let's play around and try to understand what option Oracle will take. It's also saying that does not match format string and so on, right? As of now, it's obviously not executing, not working. Okay, not working. So let's go and make it as DEC. Let's see whether it is working fine. This is also not working fine. So we are trying to insert a date and it is not working fine. And we'll have a separate session on the date, how we can change the format and all those things. As of now, let's do one thing. I'm not, let's say I'm a layman and I don't know how to add the date, right? I'm purposefully doing this. So as a layman, I don't know how to add a date, but I'm a non-technical guy, but I have to insert today's date, right? I want to insert today's date for the joining, that one guy with the employee ID 1 joined my company, and I want to put today's date. So sys date is nothing but my today's date, which I want to add. So for that, what I will do is insert into hire dates values this, and I don't know the date, but like I don't know how to insert the date. So in that case, I have to run this directly, because I know that if I'm not putting anything, then what will happen? It will take the sys date. So let's try to run this, and you see that I will get an error again. This time the error they are saying is not enough values. Obviously, because in my table I have two columns, ID and hire date, but you are passing only one value. So how will it take? So for this, the solution is insert into hire dates. Then I will tell Oracle that in ID field, I want to add the values as 1. So what I am doing is I am only inserting the ID value as 1, and I know that as I'm not passing any date in the hire date, it will take the default date as sysdate. Let's see that whether it is working fine or not. Let's execute. It ran fine. Now, before I check this data, what I want to help you understand is this semicolon. Why did I put this semicolon? Because let's say I'm putting one more record here, right? Let's say I'll go down, I'll put this record, and now I am passing this as 2 and passing this as 3. Now I want to insert record number 2 and record number 3. What I will do, I'll select this together. I want to run both the lines together so that I don't have to run one line, like line by line the code. I don't want that. I want all the lines should run parallelly, or I just have to click this run one time and all the statement will be executed. So I'm selecting these two lines and trying to run. I'm getting an error, missing keyword. Now, why this is happening? Because what Oracle is understanding that this statement and this statement is single statement, but I have to tell Oracle that this statement and this statement are different. So this semicolon is helping me understand that this is the end of the statement. Now, when I select this and try to execute this, you see that the records are inserted, right? There will be two entries, row 1 inserted, row 1 inserted. Now, if I go ahead and check, select star from, now star why? Because I want all the columns. So select star from higher dates. And here I'm selecting only this column, so I don't require to put semicolon. Suppose I'm selecting this column and this column, this this row and this row, then obviously this statement and this statement, then obviously it will throw me an error. So as of now, I'm selecting only this statement and try to run. You see that there will be 3 records in my data set, and all has 30th June 20 as the higher date. So default is a very good concept where I want to put something default. And again, it's not only for date, it can be for any data type. For example, let's say I'm creating one more column here, and I will create a new table because we did not talk about how to alter the table, all those things. We'll discuss that later on. But as of now, what I will do, I'll create one more table called higher dates one, and I have one more column, let's say days, how many days uh, he will work, or how many days experience he has, something like that I want to add. Okay, let's say years experience. I want to add how many years of experience he has. So years experience, and it will be number again. And if I'm not putting any value, then make default as 0. Okay, so I'm creating a new table. Now here there is something missing, the comma is missing, so I put the comma here, and then let me execute this. The table is created. Now the default value is 0. Now when I'm going and inserting, let's do one thing. Let me copy this so that all the code will be with us. So this is higher date 1, higher date 0. All right, and here I'll just copy these 3 records and put it here. Higher dates 1, 1, 1, and I'm inserting again 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, right? And also I'm not inserting the years of experience. I don't know, right? So I want to set it as default as 0. So let me insert these 3 records, or let's do one thing. For one of the guys, I'll put the experience as 10 years, and here I will write ID comma years of experience. Right? I hope that is the column name, years experience, right? So you see here ID comma this. So I'm saying Oracle that I know these 2 values. Please insert that. Rest all will be default. We already set. That's why it is working fine. Suppose if I will not set as default, then it will throw me an error or make it as null. We'll see that later on. But as of now, let's execute this. You see that this is working fine. Let's execute this. This is working fine as well. Let's execute this. This is working fine as well. Let's go ahead and check the data out here. You can see that we will have 3 records. Years of experience, 0, 0 is the default, and 10 we already put for employee ID 1. Okay. Now let's say if I will not set that value to default, right? Then what will happen? Let's take that scenario also. So I have higher dates 2 and year of experience. I'm not passing any default value. This is my third table which I'm creating. So table is created successfully. Let me copy these codes because we are inserting these values only. Here we go. And here I am passing experience as 10. Here I'm not passing any experience. Here I'm not passing any experience. Let me make this as 2. Let me make this as 2 as well, 2 as well, and 2 as well. Let's execute these 3 statements together. Right? Now I am passing semicolon, so I can pass these 3 statements together, execute. All the rows are inserted. Let's go ahead and check here. And you'll see that when I'm not passing any value, that is nothing but null. It's a null. It's not minus, it's a null basically. So here I don't have any value and it made it as null. So Oracle is able to understand that if you are not passing any value in years of experience, because I did not pass the value out here, then it will be null. All right. So this is the default option, which is very handy to like put in various different scenarios. Let's talk about constraints. Now, what are constraints? We already had like quick discussion about uh, primary key, foreign key, but obviously we did not see that in practical, and we will see that today in practical. So there is a concept of primary key, there is a concept of foreign key, there is a concept of not null, there is a concept of unique, there is a concept of check, right? So what we will do is we'll apply all those things one by one and try to understand that what it is, right? So what we will do, we'll start with primary key, the first type of a constraint. Now, what is a primary key? It's a uniquely identifies each row of a table, right? It uniquely identifies each row of the table. All right. For example, employee ID. So in that case, employee ID, obviously I cannot have the same employee ID for different employees. So employee ID is my unique key. Here I will add one more thing, which is a concept of surrogate key. I'll come to that also, which is also an important concept, right? So we'll discuss primary key for some time and we'll talk about surrogate key also. So let's create one table where I will actually implement the primary key concept. Let me create now. I will create the entire employee database which we saw in the schema HR. The same database will create by ourselves here one by one, and we'll see how the tables can be created. So I'm creating a table and I'm giving the name as region, and here the first column is region underscore ID. I can have underscore, we already had a discussion, and I'm giving this as number as my data type. And as I already mentioned that it is not a case sensitive language, I can have capital number as well, and capital anything we can do, right? There is no issues as such. Now after region I will have to put region name, let's say region name, and I'm giving varchar 25. Okay, there is a concept of varchar 2 as well, which is like double the size, so we can go with varchar 2, same concept with double the size, so varchar 2, and then we'll close the bracket. But here I did not mention the primary key concept, right? I did not say that region ID is a primary key, but I have to tell that region ID is a primary key. So what I will do is I will create a constraint here. Now constraint I can create at the time of table creation, most of the constraints, right? So we'll see that what are constraints we can create at the time of table creation and what not. We'll see that later on. But as of now, I have region ID number and I want to give this as a constraint. So constraint, I have to give the keyword constraint primary key region ID. So I am saying Oracle that region ID, which is a number, is actually a primary key of this table. That means in this primary key column, I can only have the unique values. I cannot have duplicate values. Suppose I have region ID 1 with America, region ID 1 with India, not possible because 1 is already captured by America. So you can maybe assign 2, 3 or something else, but 1 cannot be duplicated. I can give the name of a constraint as well. I can very well give the name of a constraint as well. To give the name, because we prefer to give the own constraint names rather than Oracle gives the constraint name. Suppose I am not giving the constraint name, then Oracle by default gives the constraint name with sys underscore cn and then some number like that. Okay, so this is like a default name Oracle gives. But why to go with default name? Because once we will deal with a huge amount of tables, and there are a lot of tables, it will be very difficult for me to understand which table consists of which constraints. We have a table which we'll discuss also, where I will have all the constraint details. So it will be very easy for me to give the constraint name so that we can able to understand, okay, this particular constraint belongs to that table, right? So same way here, what I will do, I'll give the constraint name as, let's say, reg for region id underscore pk. Region id pk, primary key. And then I am giving this region id pk, region name as varchar 225, and then let's try to execute this. You see that something is wrong here. So this comma is not required. This comma will come after. Number is there. Something is missing. Okay, this comma will come, and then after this comma will come. Let's see. Let me execute this. Yeah. You see here, so after column data type, I'm applying the constraint, then comma, then again the new column. And I can put this constraint at the last also, no problem, right? So I can place this constraint statement anywhere. It's altogether a new statement. So here I want to give the column, comma. Here I have to give the comma, and then this is the column. So table is created. Now let's see the table. Select star from regions. You see that the obviously no data is found, which is perfectly fine. There is one table which I want to talk about. Give me a minute. All constraints. All constraints. So there is a table in Oracle named as all constraint, and you will see the documentation here as well. All constraint, which will help me to understand. Select star from all constraints. Let's execute this. So now if you see here, you can see that I have the constraint name. I told you, right? It will give me something like sys underscore c and then some number. This type of value will get. Here, this you see owner. Now here, what owner I have, I'm not sure because it's a temporary space which Oracle is giving me. So I'm not sure whether I will get the table name. What I will do is I can try to search my table name. If you see, the table name is also there. So I will now write a query which will say that select star from all constraints where table underscore name is equal to regions. Now here I'm not sure whether it's saved as caps. Let's see that. Execute. Now if you see here, there is a table called HR, this one. You see here. Now our instance is SQL underscore. This is the temporary session which I am running. Because if you guys remember, I told you that if I close this window, everything will go off. And this is my temporary session. In this temporary session, I created the table as region, and this is the name I gave, right? So that PK constraint name you are getting as well. HR also using the same name because I obviously copied the code from Oracle website. So I have the same name. And this P is what? P is a primary key. Now constraint type, we have multiple. You see C, P, what all values we have? You can see here in the document as well. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 type of constraints. Check constraint, we'll talk about it. Primary key, we are talking about. Unique key, we'll talk about it. Differential integrity, we'll talk about it. V with check option on view, we'll talk about that. And O with read only on view, we'll talk about that later on. But P is for primary key. So you can see here that I have a constraint as P, which is a primary key. And that is what we created, right? That is what we created out here with primary key as this name. So that is how I create the primary key, and I can check the constraint name, what is the constraint type, all those details, we'll get it here. Now, what is the purpose of primary key? The purpose of primary key is to not insert duplicates, right? So insert into regions values. Now I have two column, region ID and region name. So 1 comma, let's say Latin America, okay, and the second is APAC, Asia Pacific, and let's say one more, we'll go with Japan. Now here I have this value 111. Let's try to execute this. You see that one row inserted, and after that you are getting an error, unique constraint violated. That means primary key can consist only unique values, right? So only unique values can be inserted in the data, in the table. So if you see in this table, there will be only one record, which is Latin. So I'm not able to insert this and this. So I'll make it a unique. I'll make this as unique, and let's try to insert now. Insert it. Let's check here, and you can see that I have 3 records coming in. All right. So that is the main purpose of primary key, where it will help me to make the data unique. Now there is a concept of surrogate key, which is also very important concept. Now if you guys remember, we had a discussion about slowly changing dimension 2, right? Remember, slowly changing dimension 2. In slowly changing dimension 2, what we do, we maintain the history of the data. So now question arises, now if you guys remember that we had a discussion about slowly changing dimension 1. If you guys remember that I had employee ID 1, where I transferred Swadesh multiple times, right? E-name, Swadesh, and his location, it was Pune, earlier it was Nagpur, right? Then Gurgaon something, and the dates were there, if you guys remember, right? We put some dates. Here I have employee ID 11 because I'm transferring Swadesh from one location to another location. Obviously his employee ID will not change, it will be the same. Now question arises, which can be the primary key? Because my primary key can be unique. Now if you are trying to make employee ID as my primary key, then the problem is I will not able to maintain the history, because I cannot have same value again and again. Will I change the employee ID every time? It will be again very difficult for me to track, right? Because if employee ID is different, how will I track that what all records are there for Swadesh? I have to filter on his name. So what I will do, I'll make this employee ID as is. I will not make any changes here. I will create one more column, let's say S underscore ID. This S underscore ID is like a system generator, you can say sequence. As and when a new record will insert, this value will change. Let's say I'm making this start as 101, 102, 103. So it will increment by 1. We can set that how much increment you want and all those things. So what I'm doing is I'm making a key which is increment always, as and when the new record will insert. Now here, Swadesh record insert with employee ID 1. Again, one more record inserted of Swadesh, employee ID 1. Now, as and when the new record is inserting, this surrogate key or this key is basically adding with one increment. Obviously, there are chances that Swadesh entry comes in, then Kushal's entry comes in. So Kushal's record will be 102, and then Swadesh record will be 103, which is fine. I don't care because my employee ID is common for Swadesh, right? So I can filter on the employee ID. So I'm okay to have this as any number for any employee. I don't care about that because the main thing which I want to take care is employee ID. So I don't have to worry about what number I'm assigning as surrogate key for any of the employee. Okay. So that is the main benefit we have. Are you guys getting it? Yes or no? So this type of key is known as surrogate key, like a surrogate mother, right? So the mother is actually not mother, but is giving the baby, giving the birth to the baby. Same way here, the ID is actually not the ID, but it's a surrogate key which is helping me to make things uniquely identified. All right. So again, very, very important concept because we use that for like almost every project. We require that because obviously I cannot make my, let's say, not employee ID, let's say customer ID. Now my customer ID, I cannot change again and again, right? How will I track that? So I'll make my customer ID as is. I will just create one surrogate key. So that is very, very important concept. And again, I'll make that as a primary key. Okay. Now, this is about primary key, which is helping me to make things unique. Second concept is foreign key. Now, question arises, what is the benefit of foreign key? Now, let's try to first understand that what is like how to create a foreign key, right? What I will do is I already have a region table. What I will do, I will make a new table called countries. So create table countries. Country ID is my column name which I'm giving. And let's do one thing. I just check number varchar 25. This is fine. Okay. Okay, let's put country ID and I'm putting country ID as char 2. Country ID, I'm making it as char 2 means I will have 2 characters. Now, country ID char 2, I'm giving the two characters in the column. And I want to give this as, now one more thing before I create this table, let me try to insert here one record with null, and let's make this as UK, and I'll write here as region name, right? Region underscore name. Now the question arises, will I able to insert it? Let's try to execute this. You see that cannot insert null. Getting it? So my primary key column, if you are creating, it cannot be null. So you should have to put something here. It cannot be null. Okay. But suppose, like sometimes what people do is they create one more constraint called not null as well in the table. For example, suppose I'm creating here the table region ID number space constraint, let's say region underscore ID underscore NN, not null. This type of statement they also run so that they will able to maintain the constraint. But by default, if you're creating a primary key, obviously it cannot be null, right? So if you want, you can go ahead and add the constraint as not null. But if you are making it as a primary key, by default, it is not null. So we actually don't want to write this statement. But sometimes people write it for their reference, right? So if you want, we can add that also. But as such, logically, it is not really required because primary key is always be not null. It should not have any null values. Now let's go here, and here I will add the example which I told you, right? Constraint not null. Let's create it. So I'm adding constraint constraint name I will give country underscore id underscore nn as not null, and then comma. Now I want to make primary key. Let me try to add primary column at the end, right? Primary key constraint at the end. We'll see that whether it will take at the end also or not. The second column is country name, and let's make it varchar 240. I'm making the size as 40. Then, and again, these column size, we will have to first do the data analysis. We have to understand that what is the maximum value, and based on that we decide, right? So that is like a very initial part of the discussion with the business, where they will help you understand that, okay, my country name cannot be more than 40, so let's make it 40 or 50, something like that. So that discussion will happen at the very initial stage. If you guys remember, we spoke about the logical data model and the conceptual data model, right? So at the time of conceptual and the logical data model, we decide from from conceptual to logical. When we are moving at that point in time, we decide that what can be the column size and all those things. Now country name varchar 240, and then we have region underscore id, which is a number, comma. Now the thing is, region id, try to understand that blue dots coming in. You guys doing something right here? Anyways, so now try to understand that I have a table called region, and I have a table called country. Now here I have a region ID, I have a region name. Here I have a country ID, country name, and region ID. And I want to connect this table with this table, where this is related with this. So how will I make this relation, right? Now here I have a region ID as a primary key. Now what I actually want is my data should not be corrupt. My data should not get corrupt. What does that mean? For example, please concentrate here. It's very, very important concept. Suppose I have a region ID 1, which is America, region ID 2 as India, region ID 3 as China. Now in this table, I have 3 records. But here in the country table, you are actually trying to do country ID 10, Pakistan, and region ID 4. Now, is region ID 4 present in this table? No. And as I mentioned that this is the primary key in this table, and this is the foreign key in this table. When I will try to insert number 4, what will happen? It will throw me an error. It will say that it is not present here in the main parent table. You will not able to insert number 4. So now I am actually saving my data from getting corrupt. I cannot insert anything here. It will be inserted only those values which are present in the parent. Same way, if I will try to delete any record from here, let's say I want to delete India from here, then what will happen? It will not delete till the time all the records from this table of India will be deleted. So till the time I will not delete any records from here for India, from this table, you cannot able to delete India. So you see that how my data is actually saved. Let's practically see that whether it is possible or no. So I'm creating this region ID. Now I want to say that region ID is a foreign key coming from regions table. For that, what I will do is I will write constraint. Let's say, let's give country underscore reg underscore fk, foreign key. foreign, if spelling is correct, FOREIGN, yes, foreign key, region ID is my foreign key, all right, which references regions, region ID column, which references region ID column. Interesting. And then I have to also mention that country ID is a primary key. So that constraint is still pending. So I'll write constraint, let's say country underscore ID underscore PK. And again, this constraint name cannot be more than 30 characters. That also you have to keep that in mind. Primary key is my country underscore ID. Beautiful. Now I'll close the bracket. Now my table is ready to create. Let's see if we'll get any syntactical error or not. We'll see that, right? So what I'm doing here is I have a country table. I'm giving the country ID character 2, constraint country ID as not null. Country name varchar 240, which is the 40 size, variable length. Region ID is a number. Constraint country reg FK. Foreign key region ID references regions, region ID. So I'm saying that foreign key is this region ID, which is referencing my region tables region ID. And then constraint this PK, which is my country ID, which is a primary key. Let's see whether it will work. Let's try to run. And you see that the table is created. Beautiful. Now, the interesting thing is select star from regions. In the region table, we have 3 regions, 1, 2, 3. Let's try to insert into countries values. Now I need country ID, let's say past 10, country name, let's say Pakistan, and region ID as 4. Okay, let's try to execute. We'll see what happens. Integrity constraint violated, parent key not found. Getting it? The story, I try to insert 4, but 4 is not present here, gone. Now that's okay, that's fine. Let's change it to 3 and make it as what it was, JP, I guess, right? So JP. Perfect. Let me try to insert it. Inserted successfully. Select star from countries. Let's execute here. You can see that it is working fine. But now from the region table, I can delete from, again, we'll discuss about delete in detail. So delete from regions where region underscore ID is equal to 3. Now I want to delete from the region where region ID is equal to 3. Let's execute this. Integrity constraint, child record found. So now you see that when I'm trying to delete Japan from the parent table, it is saying that child is present. Please remove child first, and then you can do whatever you want to do. All right, let's try to do that. So delete from countries where region underscore ID is equal to 3. Deleted. Now if you check in the table, it should not be there. And if you see here, this looks perfect. No record found, expected. Now try to delete region from region table, region ID 3 from region table, and you can see that it is deleted successfully.